My name's Alex Avian. I lived my Cursillo weekend in September 2023, and I sat at the table of St. Padre Pio. What was my life like before I started with the Cursillo? Probably before the Cursillo weekend, being a business owner, you're more of a control. For me anyway, I'm a control freak. It was all about control. I had to control everything. If my business wasn't going good, I took responsibility. And then what can I do to control what I can control to make it better? So, and I'm also firstborn. So I was always big on the control thing. Okay. And here's probably the biggest thing for me in Cursillo is I've always been afraid. If there's anything I've been afraid of, it's giving up total control to Jesus, to Mary, to like leave everything in their hands. And what's crazy about that is when you think about the idea of surrendering, my fear was if I surrender my will to Jesus and Mary, are they going to ask me to sell everything I have and follow him, become a monk somewhere? Or, I mean, I had these crazy thoughts of I would be afraid that God would ask me to do something that my worldly nature was unwilling to do, which is kind of backwards, right? When you think about that whole thought process, and I just didn't want to give up control. So that's really was my life. And so I would suffer fear and anxiety because I couldn't control the things I wanted to control, or the things I was trying to control were not going the way I wanted to control them. So I would have this frustration and worried. I was worried about stuff. So when I attended Cursillo taught me that I actually can surrender to a process of holiness, a process of achieving holiness through piety, study, and action, the three pillars of Cursillo. It taught me how I can lean on the process. It's kind of like what Nick Saban says about the process of becoming a national championship football team. If I can get my players to fall in love with the process, then we're always going to be competitive. Well, that's the analogy here. I started to fall in love with the process for Cursillo of improving my piety and my study and action. I would achieve deeper levels, higher levels of holiness. And through doing that, it taught me that I could let go and let God. And through that process, over several months, 6 months, 7 months of focusing on that and doing that through the Cursillo method, I learned to surrender. And I did it in baby steps. What's kind of hilarious about it is I did a total consecration to St. Joseph. Okay. And that was a period of like 21 days to consecrate myself to St. Joseph. But then like 2 months later was the granddaddy of all consecrations, total consecration to the Blessed Mother. 33 days, the 33-day consecration of the Blessed Mother. And I tell you what, my 33rd day, when I went to confession, received communion, those are the things to do, and pray the consecration prayer, it brought me to tears. I had never felt so much peace in my life, and putting everything in her hands. My business, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my children, putting everything I care about in the hands of the Blessed Mother, and being free from fear and worry, because she would always take care of me. By doing a total consecration, I didn't have to pray for things. I just prayed, and the Blessed Mother would take care of everything that I ever cared about, better than I could. And that's, to me, how Cursillo changed me. It allowed me to totally surrender. And that was probably the biggest surprise for me going through Cursillo weekend, was achieving that peacefulness through the Cursillo process. And it gets deeper and better every single day that I do it. So that was probably the biggest surprise from Cursillo, is that I would get to a place where I totally surrender. And I tell you what, it's the most peaceful thing, the most important thing I've ever done in my life. And I can thank the Cursillo weekend and the Cursillo process, the method for getting me there. Why would I recommend Cursillo to someone, especially who might be on the fence? Why would I recommend it to them? I would recommend it to them because it'll get them off the fence, and really off the fence of their faith, right? I think when someone's on the fence about their faith, I don't know that they had been really invited to an opportunity to grow their faith in a way that makes sense to them. But why does anyone want to grow their faith? It's because they seek something better than where they are right now in their life, in their relationships with their family, friends, relationships at work. It really comes down to relationships, right? And ultimately the relationship with the Lord and what he's doing in your life, which then spills over to everything else. Like, man, if you're on the fence about your faith, a Cursillo weekend will get you off the fence. It will get you off the fence and moving forward. You know, I find that sometimes people don't feel like they're ready for something like that. And I don't know that it's really a matter of being ready for a Cursillo weekend as it is, are you ready to get closer to the Lord? If you're on the fence about getting closer to the Lord, it's like, man, I think that this weekend will get you off any fence that you might be sitting on. To me, that when someone invites you to a Cursillo weekend, I believe it's Jesus saying, come to me. I want to have an intimate relationship with you. That's what an invite to Cursillo weekend is. It's the Lord's, Jesus saying, I seek to have an intimate relationship with you. And this is an opportunity to do it.